Welcome to this explainer. Okay, so today we're diving straight into something absolutely fascinating. How humanity literally just invented the whole concept of value, and how that one invention completely dictates our modern class system. I mean, it's pretty wild to think about, right? We went from trading literal, actual farm animals to putting all our trust in invisible digital numbers on a screen. And those numbers, they define almost every single aspect of our daily lives. Now, I want you to hold on to this question as we really dig into our financial reality today. Why do we wake up every single day just to chase pieces of paper or, increasingly invisible digital zeros? Well, ultimately, it all boils down to one massive collective agreement. So, to figure out how this all works, here's our roadmap for today. 1. The illusion of value. 2. From gold to fiat. 3. Surviving the bottom. 4. The comfort zone. And finally, 5. The elite and the future. Let's get right into it. Section 1. The illusion of value, a massive psychological leap. Historically speaking, our whole evolution of money kicked off by trading things that were actually useful, right? Like cattle. But let's be honest, cows make terrible money. They're super hard to divide up, and frankly, they spoil. So humanity needed a fix, and we found something way better sitting right there in riverbeds: gold. Literally, shiny stardust formed from exploding stars. It didn't rust, and you could chop it up easily. But eventually, lugging around heavy bags of gold got pretty annoying. So flash forward to the 1800s, and banks started handing out paper IOUs that just represented the gold locked in their vaults. And finally, we just dropped the gold entirely, making the jump to our current system, fiat currency. This is where money has value simply because, well, the government says so. So here's the absolute crucial point. Collective belief is the primary ingredient that turns a soft, basically unproductive metal into this universal survival tool. I mean, gold doesn't feed you, it doesn't keep you warm, you certainly can't live in it. It only has power because you believe the person sitting across from you will accept it in exchange for wheat or shelter or whatever you need. Think about that for a second. Humanity's first massive psychological leap was literally convincing each other that a shiny rock meant survival. Moving right along to Section 2, from gold to fiat, giving up the shiny stardust. Okay, picture the terrifying panic of the Great Depression. People were absolutely rushing to banks trying to pull all their physical gold out at the exact same time. To manage these bank runs and basically save the entire system from collapsing, the US government stepped in to centralize control. In 1933, citizens actually had to trade their physical gold for paper. And then by 1971, the government completely closed the gold window for the rest of the world. That was the moment they completely severed our paper money from physical stardust entirely. Now, what is truly wild about fiat money is that it means a government can technically print an infinite amount of currency. It relies 100% on our continued trust. We literally went from trusting a scarce, shiny metal from space to trusting pieces of paper backed solely by the people running the system. It's a huge shift. And because of this fiat system, the central bank, the Federal Reserve, now pulls the major levers of the economy. Now, economists are fiercely divided on how this plays out. Defenders will absolutely credit the Fed with saving the economy during massive crashes, like in 2008, by injecting new money into the system. But critics, they argue that playing with these economic levers causes artificial boom and bust cycles and generates this runaway inflation that constantly dilutes our wealth. It's a massive, ongoing debate that literally dictates the global economy, and we are right in the middle of it. All right, Section 3, surviving the bottom. Playing on ultra-hard mode. Let's talk about what this system looks like on the ground. Extreme poverty is a brutal daily survival mode with basically no ladder out. Imagine playing a video game for the very first time, but you have no skills, zero equipment, and the settings are locked on ultra-hard mode. That's what it's like surviving on less than $2.15 a day. Standard poverty, on the other hand, well, it's kind of like trying to win a game of Monopoly when you start the game with zero cash. Every single time you pass go, instead of collecting your $200, you just get handed another bill. It's an exhausting loop. And, we have to keep in mind that being poor isn't just about lacking literal dollars in your bank account. It severely limits your social choices, too. We call this relative poverty. You might technically have enough to eat, but you're completely locked out of the resources that would actually allow you to escape the loop, things like higher education, or even just access to modern technology. Which brings us to Section 4, the comfort zone, the middle-class tiers. So zooming in on these middle tiers, you've got the lower middle class expertly min-maxing their tight budgets, right? They're figuring out how to afford that reliable Toyota and maybe carving out a little wiggle room for a steak dinner now and then. Take one step up, and the middle class is basically living in the Goldilocks zone. Stable job, the occasional tech upgrade, but definitely avoiding any wild financial risks. And then right above that, the upper middle class gets the best of both worlds. We're talking premium economy flights and elite schools for the kids, but hey, they're still keeping one eye on the grocery sales, just in case. Now, as you step up into the affluent and millionaire brackets, the game changes. Your money actually starts working for itself. The affluent get to enjoy this incredibly comfortable financial cushion and premium services. Jump to the upper affluent, and they pretty much never have to check a price tag. They just hire advisors to do all the math for them. And by the time you actually reach millionaire status, you're sitting on a 7-figure net worth. Though surprisingly enough, depending on where you happen to live, you still might be sweating the small stuff.
Section 5. The elite and the future. Owning the racetrack.
Let's talk about the absolute top tier. A multimillionaire with 8 or 9 figures gets to make life choices based purely on passion, not necessity. But a billionaire? They operate on a totally different scale. Think of it this way. If a millionaire's version of wealth is owning a really fancy sports car, a billionaire just owns the whole racetrack. They're out there funding global tech innovations, all while having to navigate intense public scrutiny over holding that much concentrated power. To truly wrap your head around $1 billion, consider this. If you spent $1,000 every single day, it would take you nearly 3,000 years to go broke. Let that sink in. 3,000 years. It is a level of wealth so vast that it practically breaks our basic human understanding of what money even is. But here is exactly where the macroeconomy and the micro-reality collide perfectly. Thanks to surging inflation, totally unpredictable policies, and sudden market shocks, everybody, from the billionaires running the racetrack to everyday people min-maxing their budgets, they're all starting to lose faith in the fiat system. That core central belief we talked about earlier, it's weakening. And because of that, we're seeing governments and individuals literally stockpiling physical gold again. Plus, a lot of people are turning to decentralized alternatives like Bitcoin, treating it as a sort of new digital gold. It is just absolutely fascinating when you step back and look at it. After centuries of making these massive psychological leaps, society is suddenly seeking safety right back in the shiny stardust of our ancestors. It seems like whenever things start to feel economically uncertain, humanity instinctively looks backward, searching for something finite, tangible, or mathematically scarce to hold on to. So I'm going to leave you with this final thought to ponder today. In this vast collective game of value we're all playing, whether you are just trying to escape the poverty loop or you're managing a massive 9-figure portfolio, where are you choosing to place your ultimate belief? Thank you so much for joining me in this explainer. Keep learning, keep questioning, and I'll catch you next time.